But these players also have a special distinction, is that despite being two of the greatest quarterbacks, not only of all time, but certainly in the last decade, they've never won a regular season MVP. And it's quite amazing. We were looking around, and it's amazing how hard it is to be an MVP. The odds are out in Vegas about who's going to win the MVP. We thought in our best for last today, we'd give you the 10 greatest players, and I think you'll be surprised by a couple who never won an MVP. Here's best for last.
After almost 3 hours, Colin apparently hasn't gotten to the point yet. Quit holding out on us, cowherd. It's the best for last.
Number 10. Such a great hitter, the National League batting title is now named after him. Tony Gwynn, in a 10-year period from 87 to 97, won 8 National League batting titles. Go look up who was hitting in the National League then. In a strike-shortened season, he was batting .394. He got the closest to Ted Williams. He is the greatest hitter in the history of baseball. He's the best hitter I've ever seen. Rod Carew was good. Wade Boggs was special. This is the best hitter in the history of the sport. Tony Gwynn never won an MVP.
Number 9.
Deion Sanders was actually so good at corner and an elite special teams guy. He won the 1994 Defensive Player of the Year as a cornerback. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. He played for high-profile teams, Cowboys, Niners. He is considered the greatest return man of all time and the greatest cornerback of all time. There's really nobody close at corner. I mean, really, who's second? Darrelle Revis? That's a big gap. Deion Sanders, number 9, never won an MVP.
Number 8.
You do realize the guy that kept Michael Jordan from getting to finals, Isaiah Thomas. When they were winning titles in 89 and 90, they were keeping Chicago out of the finals. Michael Jordan never beat the Detroit Pistons and Isaiah Thomas in their prime. In fact, in 2 years that he won titles, the MVP was not Michael. He won a title, and Magic was the MVP. Isaiah Thomas, number 8.
Number 7.
Ben Roethlisberger. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. He led the Steelers to 2 Super Bowls, 2005, 2008. Think about this. In 2014, now, this is 5 years ago. In 2014, he completed 67% of his throws. He threw for 5,000 yards. He had 32 TDs, and he had 9 picks. And Aaron Rodgers won the MVP. Big Ben, number 7, never been named an MVP.
Number 6.
Think about this. The PGA has a Player of the Year. Phil Mickelson's never won it. Now, I want you to think about this. Tigers won it 11 times. His biggest rival has never, ever won it. Only PGA players vote him. This guy has multiple Masters, over 70 tournament wins. In the 18 to 20 years of his prime, not one time he was ever named by PGA Tour players as Player of the Year. Number 6.
Number 5.
Ray Lewis, greatest defensive player of his generation. He was a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was a 13-time Pro Bowler. There was a long stretch in the NFL, 4 or 5 years, when you could argue that Ray Lewis and LaDainian Tomlinson were the 2 most complete football players in the National Football League, and Ray Lewis never won an MVP.
Number 4.
Derek Jeter. Look at John Goulet shaking his head. Okay, Derek Jeter has the 6th most hits in Major League Baseball history. And here's what's funny. In 1999, this was in his peak, he batted .349. He led baseball in hits, and he finished 6th in the voting. And he was a Yankee, and he was a great defensive player. Think of those numbers. He bats .350. He leads baseball in hits. The Yankees are amazing, and he finishes 6th in the MVP voting. I think that is jealousy. By the way, in 2006, he batted .343, and Justin Morneau of the Twins beat him out.
Number 3.
Jerry Rice. I kind of get this one, though, because Joe Montana. And Bill Walsh got a lot of the credit. He's the greatest receiver of all time, holds many of the records, integral part of a dynasty, perhaps the greatest dynasty of all time. Now, he never won the NFL MVP. The Pro Football Writers vote once gave him the MVP, but Jerry Rice is our 3rd greatest player to never win an MVP.
Number 2.
It's hard to believe Drew Brees. He's going to end up with 40 NFL passing records. Super Bowls, won his division. He broke Brett Favre's career completion record on Sunday. Last year he set the highest completion percentage of all time, which is it's like high school, 72% completion percentage. And it's interesting because he's so beloved by the media. He's so beloved by players and coaches and the press. But he's the only player to throw for 5,000 yards or more in multiple years. He's done it 5 times, and he's the second greatest player to never win. We think he's number 2 on the shocking list of somebody that's never won an MVP. But number 1.
Number 1.
The NBA logo. Jerry West, a 14-time All-Star, only player to win the Finals MVP despite being on a losing team. No, that can't be right. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah.
How could you do that?
Yeah.
How could you be the MVP of the Finals if you're on a losing team?
He's the only one.
It's happened in one Super Bowl also. Oh, he was on the losing team in the Finals.
Yeah. He's the only one.
He averaged more than 30 points in 4 different seasons. Can you believe? And here's the thing, too. It was a big man's league. He was the guard for a decade on the biggest franchise. And he was the logo. And he never won an MVP. Isn't that odd? Goulet's smiling. You're still bitter about Jeter.
So mad Jeter's not number 1.
So our number 1, Jerry West, Drew Brees, Jerry Rice, and Derek Jeter. Never MVPs. Phil Mickelson kind of feels like jealousy, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
How in the hell has he never been PGA Player of the Year?
That's pretty crazy.
I thought golfers liked Phil Mickelson. I thought he was great in the room. I thought guys loved Phil Mickelson. You know, there are, like, timings, everything in life. There are these moments in life where, John Stockton and Karl Malone just happened to be in their prime during Michael Jordan's greatness. And people forget those Utah-Chicago Bull finals were great finals. Those were 6-gamers. Michael struggled in both those finals in multiple games. Those Utah teams are as good as anybody that never won an NBA championship. But it just so happens, people forget this too. In the NHL, there's been a time where Chicago's in the West. If Chicago was in the West in the NBA, and they could because it's been like that in other sports, then Michael would have got to the finals twice and lost to Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, and he wouldn't be 6 for 6. He'd be 6 for 8, and we wouldn't hold him in this kind of, his mythology would be dinged at least a little bit. Tomorrow, Michael Strahan joins us on the show. David Shaw. Stanford's going to Notre Dame. I got to tell you, after that wild Oregon game, to have to go to Notre Dame, that is asking a college football team to do emotionally. I don't know if Stanford can do it. And Notre Dame's a real deal this year. Greg Cosell, as he often does, always does during the football season, is joining us on a Thursday. So Michael Strahan, Greg Cosell, David Shaw joining us tomorrow. Got to tell you now, I've been sleeping on a Casper mattress for a long, long time. Over 3 years. Got 5 in my house. And switching to it was a no-brainer. High-quality mattress, affordable price, cool, comfortable every night. They ship it to you for free. You keep it for 100 nights, over 3 months. And if you don't like it, they ship it out and give you your money back. Okay? And you're not going to do that because you're going to sleep on it and you're going to love it. They've got over 35,000 5-star reviews. Engineering to packaging, it's really, really smart. And sleeping on a mattress is the best way to try a mattress out. So, risk-free, Casper.com, put in the code HERD, H-E-R-D. Website, terms and conditions apply. That is Casper.com, code H-E-R-D. For our radio listeners, Michael Strahan, Greg Cosell, tomorrow we will see you then. TV listeners, speak for yourself right around the corner.